Love you, man. What do you want to say about your latest single? Because it's a killer tune. Okay, let me do it. Do it again.
So what we're doing here, Amund and I, throughout even before the pandemic, we would do this. But during
we had to.
But during the last 2 years, I haven't seen you since 2019. Last time I saw you was 2019.
That's right.
Actually, Springtime. At my house.
Yeah.
Because you came to Nashville for Americana Fest. You were here for like 3 days. Yep. But I was at your place and we did some recording and some touring in Norway in 2019 summer. But since all this bullshit, we just do this like twice a week. And we've also put out an EP together.
Yes.
And we're working on another one right now.
Yeah.
We even had a big time placement on an HBO show together. And
that was fascinating.
It was hilarious, wasn't it?
Man. Because of the time difference, you sent me a text message. Holy shit, HBO wants our song. And I get up. I think I had my boxers on. I'm calling you. What's happening, Jace? What's happening? Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. But I really strongly believe in our next one because it's got some pretty cool stuff. Can't wait to hear the mixes.
A lot of it's been your ideas, so I believe in it too.
And that's why I like it so much. Exactly. It's kind of right up my alley.
Exactly. Now, if I could make Jace sing this way, that would be better? Jace, come here.
It's more like, Jace, come here, sing like this. Can't you just sing like this so you can get the pressures on the right notes? It's more like that.
I'm just glad we're not in person so you can't beat me. But no,
I wouldn't.
So we decided, we've talked about doing this forever, but we've decided to start recording our conversations like this because neither one of us are very good at social media. Neither one of us want to get good at social media because it kind of makes us feel gross inside. But we also want people to know that we exist and maybe listen to our songs. They don't have to love our songs, but we at least want them to get heard. So Amund just put out a full album last Friday.
That's right.
February 25th, 22. And I put out a single from an EP that I'm going to put out in May. So Amund's got a full album out. He's got a music video about to come out. It looks done to me, man.
Yeah, it's going to come out next week.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to start putting our conversations when they're okay, and put them on YouTube because what the hell, people get bored and they're sitting there with their bowl of scotch late at night. They might want something to look at. So that's what we're doing here, right?
Maybe not to look at, but to listen to.
Right. No,
I don't know.
Yeah, this is definitely not a feast for the eyes.
No, it's I'm sorry, man. No, but that's right. But can't you just let's go back to when we first met because that was really funny actually because we met in Svalbard, which is like the furthest you can get from civilization, really, kind of.
Yeah, it's about 600 miles north of Norway, right?
Yeah, something like that. It's just
650.
Really.
It's most of Norway is in the Arctic Circle, and Svalbard.
Half of it.
Yeah, and Svalbard is well past that, and it was a mining community for a very long time, and it's also where the World Seed Bank is.
That's right. That's why we were invited, right?
That's right. I was supposed to drop my seed there, and then I realized there was a miscommunication about the seeds that they keep at the bank, and it's not. So
it wasn't your kind?
No, it's more like tomatoes and things like that. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
You
got a gig out of it.
I'd seen you before that.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw you in
I think it was 2012.
Yeah, it was 2012. It was right before Svalbard. I went and saw you guys play a show with your band at Park Theatre, and I was just like, this is awesome. And then I met you up in Svalbard, and we, especially then when I had more hair, we look similar. We definitely look like we are family. And so that's where we met, and they took a picture of us, and then we didn't speak to each other for like 4 years.
I know, isn't that weird? But I think I was, I'm gonna try to pull up that picture. Do you have it?
I think it's on Facebook somewhere.
It's on Facebook. It's probably on Tune's Facebook because I was trying to say that the whole reason for us to meet was this girl Tune. She's a
Yeah.
friend of mine, friend of yours,
Yeah.
and she was like, "You really look alike. You have to take a picture together." That was like our
Yeah.
initial
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Both of us were like, well, this is weird and
And it was.
not very cool, but here we are.
And then we played. I remember we did a jam session together, and you did a killer version of. I'm sure Hank would have done it this way.
Oh, were you
Is
on
that?
that? I don't even
Yeah.
remember that. Well,
You didn't. I was playing my ass off. Yeah,
buddy,
I was just.
every time I've been at Svalbard, I'm sober for about the first 5 hours, and then I'm just blacked out for 4 days.
I know, and I'm the same way. You know, it's.
That's why I don't go there anymore.
Me neither. I played there in 2019 or 18 or something.
Yeah.
And the room was really boomy as it is. You know, we played the best we could. But what was really cool was after the gig, we found the Vox AC30 and it had 6 freaking inputs. So everybody plugged into that AC30 in the backstage.
The speakers going.
Stian was playing lap steel. Evan was playing banjo. Bill Triani was playing bass. Joachim Tinderolt was clapping his hands, singing. Malin was playing the snare drum. We had like a 5-hour jam session at the backstage there. It's like probably the best party I've ever been to. 1 AC30, 6 inputs. Just or something. My hands don't work that good
I've
well
never
anymore.
even heard of an AC30 with 6 inputs. That's crazy.
You sure? Could I be wrong?
No,
6 inputs? Yeah.
Maybe it does.
I think I'm pretty sure it had 6 inputs. It was like the top boost. So you have top boost 1 and 2. You have normal 1 and 2. And then you have 2 more. I don't know. I don't like
1 and 2.
Yeah, probably. And then USB.
Yeah, the USB. You know, it's the 60s.
Yeah, it was the 60s. They were all about USBs.
Yes.
I don't like the AC30, so I don't. Yeah, I never liked them.
It's my favorite amp. So there you go.
What?
Yeah.
Really? The AC30?
I'm a crap guitar player, so I just like that big warm. I'm just gonna be playing chords. I'm not doing what you're doing with the guitar.
I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing with the guitar either. I've been trying lately to.
I love some of the playing on the new record, man. I really
Thank
do.
you.
I love the solo on Wolves. It's so. How loud was that amp?
It was 2 amps actually. You know, do you remember how it looks down in the pig house under the studio?
Yeah.
So I had actually a Norwegian amp. It's called a Telrad. They made it in the 50s. So it was gifted to me from a friend of mine. It has 3 speakers, about 40 watts. So that was in the room. Then my Silverface Super Reverb was in the kitchen. And that was really loud. So when people just walked into the kitchen, I was playing, I couldn't see them, you know, they were so, whoa! So that was pretty loud. And I was just really lucky because that whole song is, the whole record is live.
Wow.
Just like your record, you know.
No, that's true.
It's the same thing. We're just loud, live, and I was just really lucky to hit that solo. I think. Is it wrong of me to say that it's probably the best solo I've done?
I don't think so, and it's also the least technical. On the one hand, you're not doing anything flashy, but what you are doing is still really hard to do. And what's on tape, I don't think could ever be duplicated exactly because there's so much to do with the volume and how, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so much about, it's just one of those solos that there's something about it that's just kind of magical. You gotta hear it. So
I was just really lucky and it just happened. And there's no overdubs, there's no editing, there's no nothing. We got, obviously the vocals are done later, but that's normal, you know.
Yeah.
But isn't that weird? You know, I'm just thinking that we should probably have been practicing less and working more on our social media skills.
Probably.
I'm just saying.
Probably, and our abs. You know, if you have abs,
yeah.
better social media skills. I was telling my daughter yesterday, is I when I met her mom, I didn't have a full 6-pack, but I had like a 4-pack.
Yeah.
And now I've got a pony keg. So it's not a full keg yet, but it's definitely, there's a 6-pack in there, but there's a 12-pack that goes with it.
Yeah, like.
Oh well.
Oh well, it doesn't really matter. Like I told you, after I wrote that I should really be working out because I'm getting flabby. Then I had a bowl of ice cream. I was watching Seinfeld. Who cares,
Yeah, I mean it's the end of the world. Why not have some nuts on your ice cream? You know what I mean? Get some pecans on there.
That's right. It's the end of the world again.
It's always the end of the world for somebody, right?
It's more, yeah, of course. But from where I'm sitting, it's more the end of the world now than it has been for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
It'll be interesting to see what shakes out. I hope that there's no mushroom clouds in anyone's future. But I put out a single last Friday, and it's on all the streaming platforms, called Give Until It Hurts. And and
it's a great song.
Thanks, man. I put it out on Bandcamp today, and I said this on Instagram the other day, but all the proceeds that I make off of Bandcamp, which is not popular for most people I know, a lot of people don't use Bandcamp. But what's cool about it is you can pay $1 and download it at like 24, better than CD quality. Or you can pay $20 and download it. You can pay what you want as long as it's $1, and all of my profits off that are going to go to whatever humanitarian relief shakes out to be the best in Ukraine.
That's good.
That may be $100, it may be $1,000, I don't know, but it's something to do to feel like you can participate in something. I don't know what's going to happen to those poor people, but
but that's great, man. Just let me just fluff your music there for a little while, because you sent me your album after it was mastered, and this was it fall last year?
Yeah, we finished it. It was finished in November, mastered and everything in November.
Yeah, so it was the mixes I heard then. But still, that doesn't change the fact that I was just lying on my back listening to your whole album, and my mind was blown by the level of musicianship, your singing, your songs, and the whole general vibe of the whole album. It was like,
thanks, man.
Wow.
Thanks, man. Well, just like what you did, I surrounded myself with amazing people, and like you with the Lucky Lips guys. The drum sounds on your new record are killer. The snare sounds, man, are so good.
Isn't that good?
And the bass tones too, man. I love that guy's bass playing.
I know.
But yeah, I had upright bass, drums, keys, and guitar, and we just vocal and everything all at once. And then we did go in and overdub a guitar here or overdub a piano here to go with the B3. But bass, drums, and vocals are all definitely all at once, and it was fun to not play. I noticed that this is one of the most beautifully played records I've ever made, and I didn't play on it. There may be. I'm not saying it's a pattern. I'm just saying it should maybe pay attention.
But it's. I mean, you're a beautiful bass player and guitar player, rhythm guitar player, and all that. But I think you just take in that role as as a composer and the lead vocalist gave you that space, and I can hear it in your vocals that you just lean back on the band because you trust them because they're so good.
I've really gotten to this place where if I can figure out a way, I'll never play an instrument in front of people again. Writers round or whatever, it's fine. But I love being able to just sing and communicate with the audience, and let guys like you and Dan, who are fucking virtuosos, let you guys do that, because it's what you're amazing at. Obviously, you're a great singer too. But when I'm singing with you, it's really fun to just know that you can trust the people behind you to catch you when you fall. It's cool.
It's very cool. And just Dan Cohen, what a guitar player. It's wow.
He's pretty special.
He is pretty special. And when you when you think you kind of figured him out,
Yeah.
he knows like maybe 1,500 more tricks. And
He
on this album, he's just flying out with this beautiful lines and riffs and like.
Well, and it's a
Wow.
record. It's a record that was mostly written on. I either wrote on keyboard or bass, everything but one song, and so it's not very guitar. It's the least guitar-oriented record I've done since I've known Dan, and he still managed to make it a pretty guitar-oriented record but still staying out of the way. It's really cool.
And so freaking tasteful, because he always plays around the vocals, and it never takes the spotlight. But when you listen closer, like I did with headphones, it was like, wow, it was like diamonds was just flying out of the sleeves of this album.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Well, it's always easy when you're working with Brad Jones because you don't have to worry. You just be like, okay, count us in.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
But do you know? That's another thing I want to say. Just we have a tremendous amount of respect for that craftsmanship, that musicianship you have in your city. It's just
it's insane. It's insane.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you get your pizza delivery guys in this town are some of the world's best musicians. It's just. And that's the tricky part is there's so much talent. There's not enough work to go around for all the incredible talent there is. But yeah, I just dropped off my upright bass to the guy. He's getting it all set up and everything. And, he played a gig last night as an upright bass player. And he's able to make a living basically playing upright bass and repairing upright basses.
Yep.
I don't know if there's another city in the world where you can make a living doing those things. Maybe Manhattan. I don't know.
Yeah. Playing the skyscrapers with the lounge bars with the jazz,
Yeah.
I went to a place like that in Tokyo, actually. Was it the Hyatt House in Tokyo where they filmed Lost in Translation?
Oh, okay.
So we were up there, drinking really expensive drinks.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they had a jazz band, and it was not loud. It was just really tasteful, and
I love that
and all that, But yeah, there's not many places in the world you can do that, but I think that's just beautiful. And I must say, I was just really taken aback by the city when I came to Nashville the first time. I was like, everybody's the best I've heard.
Come on back. Norway's not bad, man. I mean, whenever I take a band over there, everybody's kind of shocked at the level of musicianship in Norway.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, well, if you had to spend 6 months out of the year in the dark with 9 feet of snow, what else are you gonna do? You're gonna practice.
Woodshed, But you're right. There's some amazing musicians in Norway, and you have some really unique voices. As I think, if you kind of look up special unique musicians per capita, I think Norway is.
It's right up there.
Yeah,
right up there. I mean, God, there's only
2 seconds. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What? Notta. So good. Okay.
Notta.
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 JC and Notta. Yeah. No, so that's interesting. But I've been thinking a lot about how obviously how the guitar is placed within the band, and how. And I felt, and I've been feeling this for many years, ever since I went to Austin to play in the early 2000s. I feel that, and now I'm talking about blues guitar players.
Which is how you started. You were like a 12-year-old kind of blues prodigy in Norway, and did that whole blues circuit thing.
Many years. But what was really interesting for me to see was that when an American blues guitar player comes to Norway, he tends to play longer intensity-wise before he kind of breaks the curve. When you have when you're playing the blues and you keep going and you keep going, and if you could make a graph out of it, which you would never do because that's not sexy at all, you would see that the American guitar player would go longer in intensity before he breaks the curve and breaks it off and takes it down, and content. If you're talking about a slow blues, or talking about like a guitar solo, time to shine moment in a typical blues setting. And I thought that had to do with the current. It has to do with you are on 110 and we are on 220. So because when I played in Austin and I played into a twin reverb, or it was a super reverb, it sounded so much rounder and softer than what it did in Norway. Because so my theory is that you can go so long in intensity before you crack up that it all has to do with your ears, but when your ears can't take it no more, you have to kind of change it and pull back a bit.
I thought it was just because American white blues guitarists were tasteless bastards.
But some of them aren't.
I'm kidding. But I know, but I didn't. I get what you mean. I'd never thought about that. I don't understand guitar tone the way you do, though.
Yeah, but it's still a mystery, when guys like Kid Ramos.
No,
he's just he took over. He actually took over in the Fabulous Thunderbirds. This is becoming pretty anal, I know, but he took over in Fabulous Thunderbirds after Jimmy Vaughan.
Okay.
And when he came to Norway, he ordered 2 twins or one twin or one AC30 or whatever, and pretty big amps for playing clubs.
Yeah.
And he just kept going and going and going, and you hit that point where it's hypnotic,
Yeah. Or infuriating, depending on where you're at. I mean, really, and I don't really mean that as a joke, but it's like certain idioms of music, like blues. If you're educated in blues, you can kind of listen to it all night. Or if you know nothing about the blues, you can probably listen to it all night. But if you're in the middle and you know about music, but you don't really know about the blues, it could be like, we're just playing 1-4-5s all night. I'm bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
You don't catch you're just smart enough to know. You're just smart enough to know it's a 1-4-5, but not educated enough to know the subtle, nuanced differences between songs and interpretations.
I know. And let me just drop this bomb on you. I'm not sure if I like the blues anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's, because I've been thinking about it, and I don't listen to any new traditional blues bands. I still listen to, the greats.
Right.
And they can all make me cry still, just like they did when I was 10, 11 years old. And but I think that there comes a point where you have to express something more than just being good,
Yeah.
And I think also that and I don't mean to talk so much about curves, I'm going to sound like a statistic here, but I think that the dynamics of a blues gig is now so anticipated by the audience because everybody's been through it so many times.
Right.
Then it's not. It's not. No one is surprised anymore.
Well, and moreover, they don't want to be surprised. That's not why they came there. The one thing that I think Americans, it's funny to talk this much about blues, because what a lot of people don't realize is that, and this is true all over Europe, but this is really true in Norway. Blues, like real no shit blues, 12-bar blues, is a big deal, and it's got a real. I mean, it's still niche, but it's a powerful niche. I mean, and the people who go to the blues clubs, because they have no shit blues clubs in like every community. There's like a blues club, and I don't mean a building. I mean like a social group that they may go to specific venues, but they are like a club of humans that go to gigs, swap records, talk about blues, and it's really a big deal. And you were this kind of, I guess, an equivalent in America, and this isn't really fair to you, but an equivalent in America would be like when Kenny Wayne Shepherd came around in the late 90s as this, like the second coming of Stevie Ray Vaughan is kind of how he got marketed. And then he wound up having a hit song. It was a rock song. Well, you were kind of that. You were winning awards as a teenager and selling out large venues and on TV and playing blues. And then you
Oh.
started getting into rock.
Yeah.
And I remember being at a gig. This just happened a few years ago, where this older cat, I've told you the story. This older cat's like, so you play a lot with Amund? I'm like, yeah, he's like my best friend, and we're making a lot of music together. He goes, Amund is a great blues guitarist. I said, he really is. He said, it's too bad he tries to be a rock star now. He ruined the blues. And I was like, and I just told him, I said, well, maybe you shouldn't fucking listen to him, but don't tell me about Amund, because I'm not gonna. But it goes to that thing of where they don't want, they want that narrative at the club. They want to know that, okay, there's going to be the opener that's really drum heavy. Then there's, by the fourth song, there's going to be a slow blues, and it's going to have a really long solo. They want that narrative. That's why it's like why you go to a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie. You want tiny surprises, but only within the construct of this narrative that you can count on. Yeah,
which is a given in beforehand, and that was what happened to me. I realized that the audience was kind of taking control over the stage, because they were expecting us to do certain things, and we were up there feeling all free. It was just I was fooling myself, and when I first tried to break out of that mold and that form, I had people the age of my parents standing there, they were flipping me the bird because I had ruined the blues. There was forums on the internet saying how Amund had let down the blues. I mean, isn't that too much to lay on a 22-year-old?
Yeah, well, especially considering that everyone involved in this dialogue is white as snow.
Yes,
it's like,
I know.
We're talking about African-American music that's truly about the struggle of coming out of slavery, living through Jim Crow. It's about the Black American experience, and it's awesome to pay homage to it. It's great what the British rockers did when they rediscovered that blues and turned it into the British invasion. That's all wonderful, but to have this fucking purity test about, well, that's not really the blues. How the fuck would you know?
You're 3 kilometers from the North Pole.
Yeah.
How do you know how you're supposed to play Chicago blues?
Get back in your fucking Tesla and go to your mansion and listen to Sonny Boy on your Bose system, okay, man?
Yeah, but he won't. He's gonna go home and listen to Mott the Hoople or Gary Moore. It's like, this is blues. And that's all fine, but I just I couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave.
Yeah.
But actually, on a side note there, I just read this fantastic article about African Americans taking the blues back, and how that was just really interesting, and I felt kind of hit by it, because we took this music in the 60s, I guess, and the white originators took it. They took the Black musicians over to England and gave them the spotlight and all that. But since that, we made it into this beer and harmonica industry, which is not necessarily very.
And that's fine. That's fine.
It's fine.
Enjoy what you want to enjoy, but just don't throw rocks at people. It's like, I don't like most country music after like 1982, 1983.
That's interesting.
The country that I like is like from the 70s and late 60s. And part of that is the country that I listened to from that time period was the best country, because all the crap that came out back then, nobody plays anymore. So you're only hearing the very best stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because every genre of popular music is mostly crap.
Yeah.
What we remember is the stuff that were really great from that given era, and
the best ever.
Yeah.
But we used to have, in the music business, we used to have system that was kind of curating what you were allowed to hear, and that is over.
Which is both good and bad.
I know, it's both.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Talking about putting out records last Friday. You put out 10 songs and I put out 1 song, and that means that approximately 59,989 other songs got put out that day. Yeah. Because about 60,000 songs a day get put up on Spotify.
I know. And I actually went through all of them, and some of them were really, really good. It was this one song. It was about a man and a horse. It was really, really good. No, but it's and you sometimes just stop and wonder, why are we doing this? And the answer is obvious. It's because we really have to.
We have to.
We really have to.
We know we should stop. We realize no one wants us to keep doing it, but we can't stop. It's like being a drug addict, except making things.
Yeah. And it's quite similar, actually. It's an addiction. This is or you can say that being a musician or an artist is a disease you die with. You can also say that because it kind of stays with you, like this ongoing grind within you. You have to come up with stuff.
Well, and I think where it gets confusing is when, people like you and I have been so fucking lucky, because for 20 years now, I've made my living making music. Mm-hmm. And I made money making music longer than that. That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
It is.
And there's been some years where I've made a lot of money just making music, and that's insane. Mm-hmm. And you lose focus of that when you see your more famous or more successful friends, or just people who make more money than you are, and you get that, oh God, I got to work harder, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's like, man, just do what you do, and then do your best to make people aware. I mean, that's why we're doing this. I don't know who the hell will have watched this or listened to this for this long, but it's really about just the need to connect with people and the need to connect with the universe, connect with yourself, and not to get all mumbo jumbo about it, but it's some of the stuff you and I've created in the past 10 months. It's crazy, strange, and good, and I walk around singing it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else is ever going to give a shit about it, and I don't even care.
No, but that's the whole thing. It has to come from a true place. It has to come from, I think you have to make music for yourself first.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky and somebody else likes it, then that they like something that you meant.
Yeah.
It's as easy as that,
And you feel seen, for that brief moment, it's like, oh, that person gets an aspect of who I am, and it's a great feeling,
It is. So, because ego plays a part of it, the need to create something, the need to prove to yourself that you can still have it. It's so many things that come into play, and especially now after 2 years of pandemic and almost no gigs, there's really this thing of are you still able to tap into that vein? And every time you succeed to create something, you're like, oh wow, I guess I still, there's still something there,
Well, and how many times in the past, I guess it's been 24 months now.
Yeah.
How many times in the past 24 months have you and I gone through weeks of just like, yeah, I got nothing, dude, I'm sorry, you want to just have a beer or whatever, and we'll just sit here and talk, because I have no good ideas, no interest in looking for an idea. You're just like, dude, I don't even know. I don't know what the point of anything is. And go through real valleys of depression and loneliness and feeling like, what's the fucking point? And then, 3 days later, I got this great idea in the shower, and I made a whole fucking demo with an orchestra. Check it out. And you're like, what? And I sent you an iPhone thing with a chord progression.
Yeah.
And like a day and a half later, you sent me a song, lyrics, melody. And I was like, this is really cool. What's that? Well, it's based off the chords you sent me. I'm like,
That's a new chords?
I was like, that's way better than whatever I sent you, dude.
That makes me, it's stuff. It's moments like that, it just makes me so happy. It's about creating something that didn't exist before we started, and this is true for all songwriters. Just the thing you wrote didn't exist before you wrote it. It doesn't matter if it sounds like this or that, and that the sound alike game is not very cool to play, because it kind of always kind of brings you down. When you come up with an idea, and there's always one in the room and goes like, yeah, that sounds a bit like The Wind Cries Mary.
Shut the fuck up, Bob. Get out.
don't do that, you know. Don't start talking about Jimi Hendrix now. I'm trying to just write a fucking song, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, there's something there. But I think talking about it, which we have some amazing talks, and I think we're really good at, you know, kicking up, you know, lifting each other's spirits, and but you know, just talking about something that is so mysterious as making songs, because it's like this internal process.
Yeah.
It needs to be talked about to have more value, I think.
And then sometimes it needs to be not discussed at all, right? I mean, it just depends on, you know, it's like,
yeah,
the rule is that there is no rule about this. That's the fucking rule. But tomorrow there may be a rule about it for an hour. And then that rule expires. You know? It's
and it's also so interesting to see what makes a song take the journey from an idea to the demo, to the recording, to the master, to the release of it, and then to the stage. What makes that song have that persistence to kind of survive that process?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well, and then sometimes I'll listen back to a song and go, that song should have been killed long before we went to the studio. You know what I mean? It's like, how did I put my name on that? Especially with that Sony record I did. There's a few songs on there that I'm so embarrassed by, and they aren't just out. There's a couple of outside songs that I don't love that other people wrote, but there's a couple that I was a writer on that I'm like, I can't believe I was a writer on that, and then agreed to put it out into the world. But you know, you live, you learn.
It happens, and it has happened to me many times. I actually did it was quite daunting, you know. I was driving to record this music video. You've seen Fargo, right? Many times, probably.
Yeah.
It's a classic, and even the series, you know. And we don't have Minnesota, but we have a place called Hedmark, which is like 2 hours from here, and it looks identical. It's flat. It's patches of snow. It's dirt. It's rust. It's car wrecks in the backyard. It's just I don't have to go to Minnesota.
Well, that's why there's so many Norwegians and Swedes in Minnesota.
I know. I like it there. Looks just like home.
Yeah.
You know, and we went up there, and I had the daunting task of just letting Spotify play through my catalog for the past 22 years.
Yeah.
And there was like, and it was like, but then it comes into play, this protection helmet that, you know, you can kind of understand that you wrote that because you were in that place when you did, when you know. So you kind of, but it wasn't as terrible as I thought, you know. I can live with it, you know.
Well, you've never,
for the most part.
Me too. You know, you never went through a thing where you were trying to, well, at least when you quit doing blues stuff. You know, when I got that Sony record, I was a square peg trying to fit into a round hole, or vice versa. You know, because I was trying to do the Nashville thing, and that's not really who I am. But I was trying to be that guy, and so I made some compromises that I totally made. I blame no one but myself. But I was just like, yeah, dude, that was I just didn't know who I was well enough to make a better decision. And that's my excuse. And it's embarrassing to realize I was like 30 years old and didn't know who I was enough to make better choices. But it's the truth. I didn't know who I was as an artist enough, because I'd spent so many years in copy bands. You know, here's a Peter Gabriel song. Here's a Wilson Pickett song. Here's a Tom Petty song. Well, how are you going to find your identity when you're wearing other people's clothes all night? You know? There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with doing that if you enjoy doing it, or if it's a great way to make a living. But I didn't enjoy doing it, and it retarded my growth into who I was going to become as an artist. You know, so I don't think you went through that, because you were always cooler than me.
No, man. Thanks for saying that.
It's
the thing is, No. But the thing is, when you're playing other people's stuff, which is like you're playing the stuff of the greatest stuff ever.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to write something that kind of can hold up? Because songwriting takes so many years to hone that craft. And
I guess the one positive I would say is that when you've played that many great songs, you do unconsciously learn the architecture of a great song. You know what I mean? Whether it's whether it's "Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way," which is a 2-chord stomp with no chorus, really. I mean, it's got a refrain, but it doesn't. Or Tom Petty's "Free Falling," which is just like a masterful pop rock song. You do unconsciously learn what doesn't work, at least, but you don't learn, do I have anything to say? That's what you don't learn. And if you don't have anything to say, a well-crafted song is really just a house of cards.
Yeah. But isn't it interesting that sometimes I realize this, that you're writing songs and you're trying out the songs with the band you're playing with, but then someone calls out like "Cinnamon Girl" by Neil Young, and you fucking crush it. You're just like, wow. Because the trust in the song, it's it's such a big component of how we're gonna deliver it.
The only way this doesn't go well is if I fuck up, because we know it's great. That 100%. 100%.
And and like stuff like you can be a simple song like "Brown Sugar." It's cool, it's great. So you can lean into the song in a total different way than if you've written something yourself and it's your narrative,
right?
And it's your own imagery and all that. It's I think it's really easy for everybody to kind of throw their own stuff out of the window too soon, because it doesn't feel as good as playing "Cinnamon Girl."
For sure.
Because it's not going to feel as good as that,
when you're young, unless you're supremely self-confident or just arrogant, the vulnerability it can take to be a good songwriter is in direct opposition to the strength you need to present those new songs to your bandmates or to your friends. I mean, it's one thing in front of an audience to play a song, but for me to bring a song to my guitar player that I love and respect, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I know.
If he looks at me like I'm an asshole, I'm screwed for a week. I'm just in the toilet for a week. So that's Well, dude,
that's interesting. Yeah,
we've talked forever. We should do this again next week, but
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let me one quick little thing. This is why you make full-scale demos, because the vibe of the song is what you want to put out there, so you can sell it you could sell the song to your band members. And if you're just playing an acoustic guitar, it's really hard to be like Mick Jagger or be like so you
I heard Jesus on the radio, driving in my car.